Good morning. Welcome to Tangle Time Arts. My name is Nana Heron, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. My apologies for posting a little bit late today. I usually film these on a daily basis, and sometimes life just gets in the way a little bit, and I'm a little late. So here we are on October 17, which means day 17 of Inktober Tangles. If you have your packet, you can take a look. And at the example here, we are looking at, I'm not sure if you pronounce it Veerap or Veerap. I think of it in my brain as Veerap, by Debbie Raaen, CZT. I'm sorry, Debbie, if I pronounced your name wrong. So if you have one of these packets put out by Stephanie Jennifer, you can actually click on the name and it will take you to a step out, which is really, really handy. And this is an excellent step out. So I would highly recommend you take a look at that. We're going to do a couple of different options of this tangle because it is so versatile. You can do so many things with it, and you can create these beautiful flower and also leaf or wing-like looks. For this project, you'll need another Zendala, or you can just use white paper or a sketchbook, black pen, number 2 pencil, tortillon, something to draw a small round circle with. It's going to be about 2 inches in diameter. I also have some glitter gel pens. These are from Wexford. And of course, if you want to add color, just some colored pencils. And I'm using my trusty 12 pack from Crayola. All right, let's get started here. Let me move some of these things out of the way. And we will start with making our circle. We're only going to need to make one today. And I just kind of always estimate the center. I'm not really too hung up on that, um, just because I still like the randomness of everything. So we're drawing a little circle. It's about 2 inches in diameter. I'm going to make it a little darker so you can see it, but I would recommend drawing it in pretty light. And I'm a little off center, but that's okay. And then we're going to take our black pen. And we're going to start with a very basic V-wrap tangle, and then we'll do, in the center, we'll do the split V. So for our basic one, you are just going to pick a spot on your circle. And let me start where I have a little more space there. So you're going to pick any spot on the circle, and you're going to start out kind of like we do with crescent moon, just with a curve. Yours can be a little bigger or rounder if you'd like. And then we're going to ink that in, and kind of leaving a spot for a shiny mark. It just adds some interest to it. I'm going to ink that in. And then from there, because I'm working on a circle, I'm going to do it a little differently, but I'm starting at the center and bringing out these lines into kind of in a V shape. And then I'm going to skip the middle one for a minute. And then I'm going to come out here on the side. And then I'm going to go back in between these V areas and kind of center another V. Do the same on the other side. And then we're going to connect all this. And it's really simple. So between the 2 smaller V's, you can either do a straight line, or I like to do a little bump. Then we do another bump between the larger area, smaller one, a larger one, a smaller one. In the middle, you could go a little higher if you like. Uh, Again, that's like a personal preference. And then we're just going to finish this off. So we have one simple Veerap tangle finished there. And then I like to you could solidly ink this in if you'd like, but I like to leave a little area of white, like it would be kind of shiny there. It just adds some dimension. And then once I have one shiny spot in, I kind of follow that all the way around that curve. So they're roughly in the same spots, the same distance from the edge. And I'm inking this in black, but if you'd like to use another color, you can. With my demos, I'm trying to stick with materials that you might have at home in case you're just starting out. And also these are pretty obtainable at your local stores, and the cost is reasonable. That's why I'm using like Crayola colored pencils. All right, so now we have one in, and then let's work on the opposite side and put one down here. I'm just going to mark that with a pen mark. I'm going to rotate over, and I'm going to do the same thing. Now on this side, I don't have quite as much space, so it's my little flower is going to be a little smaller. But I'm still going to start with my curve, just like we would with crescent moon. I'm inking that in. And then I'm going to put in some V shapes. So you could actually, even if you wanted to, you could actually start with a V like that and then draw in your other lines. And I'm going to go over to these lines here. And you could actually have more sets of these lines. I'm keeping it pretty simple, but you could have more. You could go all the way around if you wanted to. But I'm kind of using these as our outside border. So I didn't want it to be too busy. Then we go back in and connect all this. And I'm using curves, and I'm alternating small curves and larger curves. Like that. And then we can ink in. So I've kind of decided that my shiny spot is it's a little higher than on this one. So I have to be mindful of that with inking in the others and keep that roughly the same distance. It just has a more polished look that way. All right, so we have two finished, and now we're going to put one on each side. So I'm just going to kind of mark that with my pen, just kind of guesstimating where I want to put them. Again, I'm not measuring because I like them to be rather organic and not too pre-planned. Just a little bit of pre-planning, not a lot. All right, so we've got a mark here, and I'm going to put in crescent moon shape, a little bit of a shiny spot. Ink that in. And I'm just gonna actually start with a V. And once you get the hang of it, it goes pretty quickly. And you can vary the length of your little petals. Yours might be shorter than mine or longer. It just depends on how you would like to put them in that space. So pick any one of these stripes and start inking it in. Again, if you do not want to leave a shiny spot, you don't have to. I think this would look really pretty in a different color ink too. You could try this with red or blue or purple, and I think it would look really, really nice. All right, so we have three in. Um, these two didn't quite touch, so I'm just going to connect that. And then we'll put in our last one. We have a pre-marked dot there. And I'm always adjusting for how much space I have from our circle to the edge. All right, and then we'll connect everything up. All right, so we have 4 of them all in a circle. I like to go back in and add a little extra detail to these, and I just add some lines which kind of look like more V's on these petal shapes. And it just gives it a little extra detail. If that is something you would like to add, I would like to invite you to follow along and do that. But it's not required. That one's going to get 3. Okay. So now we're back here and we have our outside done. And now we're going to work on our inside here. And I thought we'd try the split V flower version of this. And it looks hard, but if we do this step by step, we can do this together. And it really has a cool look to it. So we have our center here. I'm just going to put a dot there so you can see it a little better. And we're going to draw in 5 seed shapes. Um, so a seed shape is just like that. One going straight down. So you roughly have a pentagon shape on the outside if you were to pencil that in. Once you have your seed shapes in, then we are going to put in our V's. So we're going off of the seed shapes actually, and kind of doing an aura around these seed shapes. And you want to stop at the top of that shape. So picture a line going up here and you want to stop there. And then I'm going to do another V a little higher. And that's always the 2 lines. And then we're just going to connect those like we did on the outside of these. So a small bump, a larger one, a smaller one. And then here's where you can get creative. This can be a little pointier. It doesn't have to be round like we did here. All right. So I'm going to rotate a little bit. And I'm going to aura around the seed shapes. And then I'm going to add more V lines. And then we'll add our outside. And you can see how these petals are looking different from these. And we just continue until we complete all of our 5 areas. And it goes pretty quickly, actually. Small bump, I'm going up into a point. Like that. And that's our split V flower, which is really cool looking. And I am going to ink this in similarly to what we did on these. But if you would like a solid look, you can go ahead and just ink them all the way in. It's probably a little faster if you do the solid look. And just work your way around. And we're on our last petal here. And for this one, I think I will aura around our split V flower here. So I'm just going to put an aura around it. And I'm going to do that twice. And if you need to pause this at any time, please do. Don't feel rushed. Work at your own pace, whatever is comfortable for you. And there we have our two different styles of the V-Wrap. I thought it would be fun to add a few of the leaf version, and we'll do that on the outside here. And that's a little different because you don't start with a crescent moon shape or the seed shapes here in the center. You just kind of start from a point. So we'll kind of start here, and you can just and two lines. And then you go back to the same point and put in a couple more lines. Then we'll just add some lines here, even though it's going behind this petal. And then we connect like we did before with a small bump, a larger one, a smaller one, and a larger one. And then I like to add it's kind of these little fescue types of things. They're kind of like flower stamens. I'm not going to add any ink to this because we'll do that with the colored pencil. And I'll do that on this side as well. So you want a couple of sets of lines, but starting from a point, not a crescent shape or a seed shape. And then we'll go to the other side and add some leaves on that side, so it's kind of mirroring that. So the leaf shapes that we're doing, actually, you could use them as wings as well if you have a project where you need something kind of floaty. These work well as wings. Kind of remind me a little bit of butterflies. And then I think I would actually like to add a few little orbs. So I am going to go back in and do that. So I add an orb. And then if there's any space, I like to fill that in, ink it in actually. And adding orbs is just a random process. I like to rotate and pop some in here and there. And it just adds a cute little touch, whimsy. Again, not required, but they're fun. Rotate around and see if I have enough. I think that's enough, but I reserve the option to add more later if I'd like. All right, so now we are going to add some color. But before we do that, I think I'm going to add a little shading first. Where to add shading? So let's start with our original flower ones here and just add the shading to these areas where we added those extra lines. Um, I'm not going to add it to the outside edge, but if you are not going to add color, you might want to add shading to the outside edges. I'm going to add a little shading in here on our leaves. We don't have too many leaves, but I'm just going to add a little shading there. And then shading in our split V flower, just in these very pointed areas. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, those points. That. And then I'm also going to add some shading in here. Like that. Then I'm going to take the tortillon, and this time I'm going to work from the center out. And it's just a gentle rubbing back and forth on the paper with your tortillon, just to blend that out so you don't have the sharper edges on the end there. It's always starting at the ink line and pushing it out. All right, and we'll go to this area. And this is giving it some depth here. All right, and then we'll go to our leaves. And then our petals on our original flowers. And just keep rotating your tile. All right, there we go. So if you're working in black and white only, you're pretty much finished. You can add shading around all around the edge, which I am going to do at the end after I add color. I'm not adding it now because I would probably smear it with my hands inadvertently, but it happens. So if you're not adding color, you can go ahead and add graphite around the edge. If you are adding color, this is where we're going to select what colors we'd like to use. And I think for today I've got blue and violet, kind of in a violet mood. We'll start with those. And let's see, we can start with any of our flowers. Do we want to start on the inside? Let's start on the inside. All right, so you can lightly shade in, color in your flowers. And even though we didn't set our graphite with water, you're going to see that shading in there shining through. I'm not adding a lot of pressure for this because I just want a subtle hint of color. Um, and for these petals, actually the color I'm just solidly blocking in. And you don't have to choose blue and violet like I did. You could choose orange or red or yellow. Um, any color combination that you like. I'm just in a blue mood today. All right, so I have that colored in blue. Then I'm going to switch to my violet, and I'm going to do these four as violet. So for this one, I am actually going to leave a corresponding white area. I'm pressing harder towards the center and then very lightly going over that. So you're seeing a little bit of a shine. Pressing in some areas like towards the outer edge and the inner point, and then just very lightly adding a touch of color to that area. It doesn't matter if you start at the point or on the outside, that's up to you. And I'm kind of using little circular motions here. It's just a kind of a softer look. Very light over that area. So it has definitely a shiny type of look there to those petals. And I'm just going to continue with that for all of these flowers. And I'm making them all violet, but if you want to even make each flower a different color, you could do that as well. We have two of them colored in. So it's just very subtle color today. Um, And on to our last one. All right, so we have our flowers colored in, and then I'm going to add a little color to our leaves. So I have green, and yellow. So we'll start with our green, and I am actually just going to add color to those vein areas and a little of the color towards the center with the green. And then I'm going to go in with the yellow green to these other areas, just fill out the leaves. So you're coloring in the area that was white and going over the area with the green and the shading. That, and then I like to go in with a third color just along the edges of the leaves. Like that. All right, and I like to rotate and just kind of see if there's anything I missed. Once I'm happy with that, then we can put on our finishing touches. And I'm going to go in with, let's see, I'm going to go in with my glitter gel pen here. So if I weren't using the gel pens, I would have colored my little seed shapes in yellow. But because I have the glitter gel pen, I'm going to come in and add a little bit of sparkle here with that. And this is a yellow one, but you might have a gold one, and that's awesome. That's fine too. And then I'm actually going to add a little bit of sparkle just to this aura area here, just to really make this center flower pop out. And while I'm using a yellow gold tone, you might want to use a different color. All right, that looks really cute. And another thing that you could do if you want is instead of the black there, of course, you could have used a gel pen, but you know, that's something you could think about adding later or doing differently next time. And the orbs, we can either leave them as is or add a little color to them. And I'm going to add a little color to them. I have kind of an orange glitter pen now, and so I'm making these a little bit orange and sparkly. But you can leave them white if you like. They look cute just the way they were. Like that. How cute is that? Super cute. And this is where, now that we're pretty much finished, we could add a little shading to the outside if you would like. Just quickly adding a little bit of shading here. Being careful not to touch any of the gel pen areas, because gel pens do take a little longer to dry. And then taking our tortillon and just smoothing that out. Right. So that is pretty much finished there. How sweet is that? It's a cute project, a very versatile tangle. You can do so many things with it. You can do different types of flowers. You can do leaves or wings. There's just so many things you could do with Veerap. I just love it. All right, I'm going to put my initials in here. I'm just going to tuck them in somewhere. And I think I'll tuck them in alongside this orb here. And then I think my gel pen is mostly dry, so I'm going to flip it over and be very careful. I'm going to put my name and it is the 17th. And this is spelled Veerap by Debbie Raaenczzt. Thank you, Debbie. And also a big shout out to Stephanie Jennifer for putting this whole month together. It's a huge job. So this is our completed project. We have our sweet flower in the center and then our flowers around it with a few leaves and orbs. And we added a little sparkle and we looked at shading with both the pencil and the colored pencil. So we got some neat shading effects in here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I'm sorry it was a little late, but sometimes that happens. I'll be back soon for day 18. So I'll see you in a little bit. Have a great rest of your day. And remember, I love you guys. Thank you.